Let's take a look at another example. We're going to do the same thing with a different context and answer some questions. It says the half-life of a substance describes how long it takes for the substance to be depleted by half. So that's a little science thing. Radioactivity has half-life. Even in this problem, caffeine has half-life. So the half-life of caffeine in the body of a healthy adult is approximately 5 hours, meaning it takes 5 hours for the body to break down half the caffeine. So if you have an energy drink that contains 160 milligrams of caffeine, the amount of caffeine left in your system after X hours is modeled by this equation. 160 to the 1/2 power raised to the x over 5. So you got the fractional exponent here. I want to identify the key features of my graph. I want to graph it, and I want to identify the relative domain and range in this context. Now, when we talk about exponential function, notice I look at my b. Notice that's less than 1. So I know this is going to be exponential decay. Of course it's going to be decay because we just talked about half-life is decay. Since it's decay, I know my domain is all real numbers. But in this context, can you have a negative can you have negative time? Not really. So I'm going to say my domain is going to be x is greater than 0. My range, because it's exponential, is going to be y is greater than 0. Now, when I say my domain is x is greater than 0, actually it's all real numbers, but within this context, x can't be negative because you can't have negative time. My y-intercept, if you notice from the last question, the y-intercept, you don't have to go through making x0 to find it. The y-intercept is the number you're multiplying by. So my y-intercept is 160. That will help us with our graph to find our window so we can see it. But once again, we can just use Desmos to make our table. And then once we make our table, we can graph it to verify everything we do. So yes, although you can use Desmos, I want to see a table. Let's do like the first few terms. So 0, 1, 2, I'll go 3 to verify that it is exponential decay. So let's use Desmos. So we're going to say, I'll make a new graph here. And just like before, I'm going to make a table. And I'm going to replace y1 with my formula. So that'll be 160 times, I'm going to go parentheses 1 divided by 2. Close that parentheses. Whoops. I've got to close the parenthesis after I get out of the fraction. Then I'm going to hit my exponent key, your exponent key. Then I'll do fraction because my exponent is going to be a fraction. I'm going to say x divided by 5. Now the nice thing about Desmos, you can see that, and I got a little notification because it has to be x1 in a table. There we go. Now we'll go 0, which is 160. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll do some rounding. We're not going to do that. So I know, didn't have to use Desmos. I knew my y-intercept is 160. And then 1 is about 139.3. Notice it's getting smaller, isn't it? 2 After 2 hours, it's going to be 121.3. After 3 hours, it's going to be 91 point, no, that's 4, 105.6. And let's just continue this on. I'm not going to write it down. I just want you to see, come on you, let's put in 5 there. 5 is a nice whole number because there's your half-life. After 5 hours, your half-life is 80. Now let's graph this with decimals so we can see that. So I'm going to do y equals, and I'll go 160 fraction 1/2, and then exponent parentheses x divided by 5. Now notice we can't see, I wanted to close that parentheses just to make me happy. We can't see this because it starts at 160. So let's go to our wrench and let's have my y-axis, let's have that go up to 160. No, let's go 170 so we can see a little margin there. And the rest of it, you could have just zoomed out, but I'd like to see that 160 there. Notice as it gets to the right, it goes down further and farther. So when you're like let's see where you're at 10 hours after you take this caffeine. 10 hours, you got 10 milligrams of caffeine left. That's why they advise you, if you have your energy drink, don't have your energy drink at night or even afternoon, because it's still going to be in your system and it might keep you awake. Those of you who have to stay awake till 4 a.m. because you're taking caffeine in the afternoon, you're drinking your energy drinks in the afternoon, and then you can't sleep at night. And once again, notice because it's decay, as I go to the left, it gets higher and higher. And so when I tell you to sketch the graph, I just want you to show me its decay, and we'll put like 160 right there to show the y-intercept. That's what you do when I ask you to sketch it by hand.